You forgot your boarding pass.
Why you putting all my business in the street? Why you putting all him? I just got out of jail and I ain't going back.
I'm saying at that time, you know, Eddie, I wanted Eddie for the movie, but I couldn't afford Eddie.
Martin Lawrence just confirmed the bad news about Bad Boys. I mean, fans have been excited about the new movie. But now, there are rumors that something is wrong. Is this the end of Bad Boys?
Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, Mike. How you doing? All right. So, how are we gonna the captain's life today?
Will Martin and Will Smith return like before? At 59, Martin finally spoke about these rumors. What did he say? Let's find out what's really going on.
Let that man go. Don't be coming at me with that phone, Mike. Freak.
Sony didn't believe in Bad Boys because of Black actor's filmmaker. Michael Bay is known for making big action movies, and one of his most famous ones is Bad Boys. But when he first worked on the movie, the studio, Sony Pictures, did not believe it would be successful. The reason? Sony thought movies with two black actors wouldn't do well in other countries. Bad Boys starred Will Smith and Martin Lawrence as two Miami cops. The film came out in 1995 and became a hit, but the journey to get there was not easy.
How old were y'all when you did the first movie?
So, I was in my 20s.
I was in my 20s, yeah. I think I was 25 when we first did it, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, wow.
Michael Bay recently talked about this in an interview. He said that Sony had no faith in the movie. He remembered watching another big action movie, True Lies, directed by James Cameron. That movie had a big budget and lots of money to spend on special effects. But Bad Boys only had $9 million, which is a small budget for an action film. To make things worse, Sony did not fully support the movie. They even shut off the power on set while they were filming. Bay said it was a very difficult experience, but he had confidence in himself.
You got something on your chest?
I got something, that's what the fuck
Do you want
Hello?
something?
The guy's got a cannon.
What do you want?
Before Bad Boys, Bay had worked on many music videos and commercials. He had experience working with famous athletes and knew how to make exciting scenes. Even though Sony didn't give him much money, Bay found creative ways to make the movie look great. One of the most famous shots in Bad Boys, where the camera spins around Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, was something Bay came up with while driving in a van with his producer. He suddenly had the idea, and they made it happen. That scene became legendary, and many other filmmakers later tried to copy it. When Bad Boys was released in 1995, it proved Sony wrong. The movie made $141 million worldwide. At the time, Will Smith was not yet a huge movie star, but Bad Boys helped boost his career. The following year, he starred in Independence Day, another action movie. But even then, studios were unsure if a black actor could be the lead in a big Hollywood film.
Were so iconic, you know? It was like at a time really when Eddie Murphy was like the premier black star.
The director of Independence Day revealed that the studio originally did not want to cast Smith. They thought his role would hurt the movie's success in other countries. But Independence Day ended up making $817 million, proving that Smith was a global star.
Welcome to Earth.
After the success of Bad Boys, Bay directed a sequel in 2003, Bad Boys 2. This movie made even more money, earning $273 million worldwide. Then, in 2020, a third movie, Bad Boys for Life, was released. It made $426 million before the COVID-19 pandemic shut down theaters. Looking back, Bad Boys changed Hollywood's view on black actors in action movies. It showed that talent and good storytelling matter more than race. Michael Bay's vision, along with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's performances, made Bad Boys a classic. And despite the studio's doubts, the movie became a huge success around the world.
3, Mike, don't you do no dumb shit.
2.
Even though the movies are rated R, they have been very successful at the box office. The series has 4 movies, and the latest one, Bad Boys, Ride or Die came out last year. People still love watching these films. One reason the movies stand out is their dark themes and the use of strong language. In a 2003 interview, Will Smith talked about how he felt about the bad language in Bad Boys. He admitted that the movies have a lot of cuss words. Even though he didn't like using them, he had to do it because that was part of his role. He and Martin Lawrence played narcotics agents working in Miami, a place full of crime and danger. Smith wanted to make the character believable, so he had to fully commit to the role. But even on set, he struggled with saying certain words. He knew that the movies were meant to be R-rated, so he had no choice but to go along with it. One of the hardest things for him was saying the N-word. He shared that he never uses that word in real life, but as an actor, he had to say it in the film. He wanted to make sure his performance felt real, and he believed that keeping the raw and gritty dialogue was the only way to do that. However, it was still uncomfortable for him. He knew that some people, especially parents, might not like the kind of language used in Bad Boys. Because of the R rating, kids under 17 couldn't watch the movie without an adult. Most parents wouldn't want their children to hear those words, so that was something Smith thought about.
You acting all scared. Never seen a gun before?
Like, stop pointing the gun at the boy, man.
Look, don't you disrespect me in front.
Despite the challenges, Smith understood that an R rating was necessary for Bad Boys. If they made it PG-13, the story wouldn't feel the same. The type of world the movie shows is dark and dangerous, and a toned-down version wouldn't be as believable. Even though the rating limited the audience, it also made the movie stand out. People loved that the film stayed true to itself. Instead of trying to please everyone, the filmmakers focused on making a great action movie with humor and intense moments. The director of Bad Boys for Life, Joe Carnahan, also talked about why the franchise could never be PG-13. He explained that audiences actually like R-rated films more than PG-13 ones. He believed that a PG-13 rating is in the middle, neither too serious nor too exciting. He didn't see proof that making a film PG-13 guarantees success. That's why Bad Boys will always stay an R-rated movie. Many other movies have also done well despite being R-rated. Films like Deadpool and Joker made a lot of money at the box office. The rating didn't stop people from watching them. In fact, sometimes an R rating helps because it makes the movie feel more real and intense. Bad Boys is a great example of this. Will Smith knows that some fans may not like the cuss words, but he hopes they understand that movies are not real life. He once said, "Hopefully once someone is 17 or 18 years old, they can tell the difference between fantasy and reality." This shows that he wants people to enjoy the movie without taking everything too seriously.
Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, Mike. How you doing? All right. So, how are we gonna up the captain's life today?
Even after so many years, Bad Boys is still one of the most popular action movie franchises. Fans were so excited for Bad Boys, Ride or Die, and it looks like the series will continue to be a favorite. Will and Martin have great chemistry, and their friendship makes the movies fun to watch.
We're shooting this scene, and I wanted to have my shirt on, and Michael was like, "Dude, I'm gonna make you a movie star. Take your shirt off."
Will Smith found a creative way to say sorry to Michael Bay after they had a small disagreement while filming the first Bad Boys movie. The argument was about a scene where Bay wanted Smith to be shirtless.
So he's like, "Dude, you don't know. I know." So we compromised in that scene. I was like, "Mike, I have to have a shirt. Just I'll have it open, just not off."
At the time, Smith didn't like the idea, but years later, he changed his mind. To make up for it, Smith sent Bay a signed copy of his book, Will. Inside the book, he wrote a note that said, "Okay, Michael, you were right. I was wrong." It was a fun way to admit that Bay had a good idea back then. The disagreement happened during an exciting chase scene in the movie. The bad guys had kidnapped T. Leone's character, and Smith had to run to save her. Bay thought that Smith should be shirtless for the scene because it would make him look more heroic and cool, but Smith didn't want to do it. He felt uncomfortable about running without a shirt. He probably thought it would look silly or unnecessary. Instead of arguing for too long, they made a deal. Smith could wear a shirt, but he had to leave it open. So, in the movie, he is seen running with his shirt half unbuttoned. Bay believed this moment helped turn Smith into a real movie star. Even though the scene was filmed a long time ago, it seems Smith only recently realized that Bay was right. That's why he decided to send the book with the funny apology. Bay shared the message on Instagram with a playful video. In the clip, he pretends to find the book near his pool. He jokes about receiving a Christmas gift from Smith. Then he opens the book and reads the note. He laughs and says it must be an apology for making Smith run without a shirt in Bad Boys. He also jokes that this moment helped Smith become a Hollywood star. Was Bay really responsible for making Smith a big star? Maybe, maybe not. Smith was already known from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and had acted in a few movies before Bad Boys. But Bad Boys was his first big action film, and after that, he became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He went on to make huge movies like Men in Black and Enemy of the State. So, whether Bay was right or not, there is no doubt that Smith became a superstar. Bad Boys is a movie that looks great but doesn't have a fresh story. It tries really hard to be exciting with fast action, big explosions, and stylish shots of Miami at night. The camera work is like a fashion photo shoot, with cool angles and fancy lighting. The editing is quick, the action scenes are flashy, and things blow up really well. But the real question is, what is this movie really about? The story follows two police officers. They are partners, best friends, and narcotics detectives. They work together to stop drug crimes. One day, a huge problem happens. Someone steals heroin worth $100 million from the police evidence locker. Now, these two cops have to solve the case. Of course, their boss gets mad at them and yells a lot. Then, an officer from Internal Affairs steps in and takes them off the case. But that doesn't stop them. Along the way, they also meet a beautiful woman who joins their mission. One cop is a handsome bachelor, and the other is a married man with a family. If this sounds familiar, that's because it is. The movie takes ideas from other action films like 48 Hours, Internal Affairs, Beverly Hills Cop, and Lethal Weapon. Even the producers, Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, have used similar ideas in their past movies. It feels like they are recycling their own work, hoping that the chemistry between the actors will make it feel fresh. The main stars of the movie are funny and talented actors. However, they talk way too much in this film. Instead of keeping things simple, their conversations just go on and on. For example, there's a scene where their angry boss screams at them. But instead of a quick, strong moment, he keeps yelling for a long time. Later, he screams even more. The movie also has a lot of moments where Smith and Lawrence joke back and forth. They interrupt each other, finish each other's sentences, and sometimes just say random things. This is supposed to show that they know each other really well, but sometimes it just feels like they are talking too much. The audience gets lost in their words and doesn't always understand what they are trying to say.
Why you putting all my business in the street? Why you putting all him? I just got out of jail and I ain't going back.
Now, let's talk about the villain. The bad guy in this movie is played by Checky Cario. He is the mastermind behind the stolen heroin. He plans the crime and carries it out successfully. To catch him, Smith asks for help from a woman he knows. Her name is Teresa, and she is a hooker. He tells her to watch out for rich men who might be using a lot of drugs. Soon enough, Teresa gets a call from a man who is very high and ready to spend $2,000. She agrees to meet him, but brings her friend, Julie, along. Julie, played by Téa Leoni, is not a hooker, but she decides to go because it seems like easy money. She thinks they will be safe and out of there in 15 minutes. But things go terribly wrong. Teresa is murdered in a very brutal and disturbing scene. Julie sees everything and realizes that she is now in danger. She runs to the police for help. This is where the movie adds a strange twist. Since Julie trusts Smith's character but not Lawrence's, the cops decide to trick her. Lawrence, the married cop, has to pretend to be Smith, the bachelor. He has to live with Julie while they work on the case. This leads to a lot of silly and unnecessary moments. Lawrence's wife becomes suspicious. She starts wondering if he is cheating on her. Meanwhile, Julie doesn't know the truth, and the whole situation turns into a sitcom-style mess. One very odd thing in the movie is how Lawrence's apartment is full of photos of Smith. Why does he have so many pictures of his partner? Is he in love with him? Are they more than just friends? The movie doesn't answer these questions. Instead, it gives a lazy excuse to explain why they are actually in Smith's apartment. But then, that raises another question. Why does Smith only have pictures of himself in his apartment? It doesn't make sense, but it seems like the filmmakers just put those photos there to make the scene work. The movie is filled with random photos, and if you pay attention, you will start noticing them everywhere. It almost feels like the filmmakers want us to focus on how things look rather than the story itself. The big climax of the movie is designed for people who don't like to think too much. If you have seen a lot of action movies, you will know exactly what happens next. The final showdown is full of gunfire, explosions, and dramatic moments. It looks great, but it follows the same formula as hundreds of other movies. There is even a part where the villain is about to kill the hero. He has a gun pointed directly at him. All he has to do is pull the trigger. But instead of shooting, the villain decides to talk first. This is called the fallacy of the talking killer. It's a common mistake in action movies. Instead of finishing the job quickly, the bad guy wastes time talking. This gives the hero enough time to come up with a clever one-liner before shooting the villain. For example, in this movie, the hero says, "You forgot your boarding pass," before pulling the trigger. By this point, the villain should have already shot him, but the filmmakers ignore logic just to add a cheesy line. This kind of thing happens over and over in action movies, and it makes the ending predictable.
You need to check with that before you out here choosing.
You have 5 seconds.
Who are these movies made for? Do the filmmakers really believe they are creating something new and exciting? Or do they just go through the same steps over and over because they know people will watch anyway? It's hard to say, but one thing is clear. Bad Boys is a fun ride with great visuals, but
You made me think you were going to shoot me for a minute. I was.
many critics felt the movie relied too much on action scenes and explosions instead of telling a strong story. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie got a low rating of 43%. Many critics thought it was just another typical buddy cop film with nothing new. On Metacritic, it scored 41 out of 100, meaning reviews were mixed. However, regular audiences seemed to enjoy it more. People who watched it in theaters gave it an A rating, showing that they had fun. A big complaint about Bad Boys was that the story was too predictable. The movie followed the usual formula of a buddy cop action film, with a lot of car chases, shootouts, and explosions. Critics said that even though the actors were talented, the script didn't give them much to work with. The movie focused more on action than on character development or a fresh storyline. Famous movie critic Roger Ebert reviewed Bad Boys and said it felt like a copy of other movies. He compared it to Lethal Weapon and Beverly Hills Cop, saying it used the same kind of characters and action scenes. He liked Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's energy, but he felt the movie didn't do anything original. Ebert joked that when the movie slowed down, it would just add another car chase or explosion to keep people entertained. He gave the movie 2 out of 4 stars. Another critic, Gene Siskel, had a similar opinion. He lost interest early in the movie because it was too predictable. He also agreed with Ebert that the lead actor's talent was wasted. He believed the filmmakers should have worked harder on the script to create a better story. Like Ebert, he also gave Bad Boys 2 out of 4 stars. Even though critics weren't impressed, Bad Boys was still a hit with audiences. Many people just wanted a fun action movie with funny moments, and that's exactly what they got. Director Bay did not like the script and often engaged Smith and Lawrence in discussions about how the dialogue and scenes could improve. He often allowed them to improvise while the cameras were rolling. He secretly told Smith to call Lawrence a bitch before the car scene. The whole "two bitches in the sea" was improvised, as was Lawrence's comment when Leone called him gay. The scene in the convenience store, when the clerk puts a gun to Burnett and Lowry's heads and yells, telling them to freeze mother bitches. Swing is also improvised. They came up with, "No, you freeze, bitch. Now back up, put the gun down, and get me a pack of tropical fruit Bubblicious." And some Skittles. According to Bay in the DVD commentary, at the end of the film when Mike and Marcus are recuperating, Mike says, "I love you, man." Bay claims that Smith refused to say the line, causing the director and actor to argue back and forth over the line. Bay wanted Smith to say the line as he felt it summed up the friendship between the cops. After their argument had lasted for half of the day's shoot, and much of the crew was ready to pack up, a fed-up Bay told Smith to do whatever he wanted. After which, Smith changed his mind and agreed to say the line.